Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment. It's your host MJ, and today we're talking about the New Orleans Saints and how they can go to Super Bowl 52 and win it. And today we're going to do something pretty fun. We're going to talk defense today because the Saints don't want to do this, and I do. The Saints have been a terrible defensive team for the past number of seasons, and to me, if they're going to go to the Super Bowl, it's going to be because their defense improved. I'm not worried about the offense. The offense was the best offense last season in terms of yardage. They had more yards than the New Orleans Saints, for God's sake, and they were just second to the Falcons in terms of points per game. The offense is fine. They added Adrian Peterson. They added Alvin Kamara. Yes, they lost Brandon Cooks, but they added Ted Ginn. I'm not worried about the offense. I'm worried about the damn defense, and we're going to talk defense today. 3 keys for the defense, primarily for the Saints to be able to get to the Super Bowl 52 and win it. So let's start with the defense. Let's start with the secondary. Let's go to the cornerbacks. Marshon Lattimore, P.J. Williams, and Delvin Breaux. They must stay healthy. They must be good. Let's start with Marshon Lattimore. He was the number 11 overall pick for the New Orleans Saints in the 2017 NFL Draft and a talented cornerback out of Ohio State. He was number 6 on my 2017 NFL Draft big board, and for a good reason. He has all the tools of a shutdown cornerback in the NFL. 6'1", lengthy, fast, running a 4.3 40 at the combine, but there are injury concerns with him. He's had a hamstring that keeps flaring up. Look out for that. P.J. Williams, the cornerback out of Florida State a couple years ago. He's barely played for the Saints now, going on his 3rd or 4th season, but when he's played, he's looked pretty decent, and every year Sean Payton in training camp talks up P.J. Williams. This guy could start for us. This guy looks good. He just never ends up playing. He needs to stay healthy. He needs to make an impact. And then Delvin Breaux, who was injured last season, but the season before that, man, this guy was playing well for the Saints. He was easily their best corner. Now you can see him have a resurgence in 2017. These 3 cornerbacks, Lattimore, Breaux, and P.J. Williams, need to stay healthy, need to be good. Key number 2, let's move up a unit to the linebackers. The linebackers just have to be okay, and that's a big thing for them because last year they were terrible. I mean, you saw some of the worst linebacking play you've ever seen in your life if you watched the Saints at all last season. I remember the Saints game against the Atlanta Falcons on that Monday Night Football game, the game in which the Falcons put up God knows how many points. The linebacker play was honestly the worst I've ever seen. Craig Robertson, this guy couldn't do anything. He's getting old at this point. He's just so useless to me. He plays a bunch of snaps for the Saints. They like his veteran leadership, but man, this guy sometimes just struggling out there. Stephone Anthony, last year was his sophomore year, coming out of Clemson a couple years ago. They were expecting him to take some nice strides. He just didn't do that. He really ended up being benched by the end of the year. Really disappointed this team. Really disappointed Sean Payton. He may not make the team if he doesn't have a good training camp. He's a concern. But there are some nice pieces to this unit. Hau'oli Kikaha, who missed almost all of last season, if not all of last season, with an ACL injury. I look at him. He can make an impact. He was making an impact in his rookie year coming out of Washington, so I'm interested in him. How about the 3rd round pick this year, Alex Anzalone out of Florida? He's a nice coverage linebacker, which the Saints could really use. He could come in and make an impact. And then perhaps you could get Dannell Ellerbe to resurge back to his past form. Or perhaps Manti Te'o, who you signed from the LA Chargers, maybe in more snaps. You can see him making an impact for this Saints linebacking core. They have a bunch of guys right now, none of them really solidifying themselves. The Saints wanted to draft Reuben Foster in the 1st round. The 49ers took away that courtesy and privilege that they were going to have. So now we're going to see with this linebacking core, but it's looking pretty murky right now, but perhaps a couple names could solidify themselves as starters and even maybe good players. We look at the defensive line for key number 3. It has to start making plays, man. Cameron Jordan, the only big-time playmaker on this defensive line. He has 7.5 sacks last season. He's a bigger defensive end, right? He's your base defensive end, your base 4th-year defensive end, 6'4", 287 pounds. He's never going to get over 16 sacks in a season. Like, he had one season a couple years ago, he had 12, which was a shock to me. He's normally going to be around maybe 9 or 10. So you're going to need some more sacks, some more production, some more tackles, some more run stuffs from your other guys. Who can provide that? How about Sheldon Rankins, your first round pick last year, 2016 NFL draft out of Louisville, number 12 overall. This is a guy that had 4 sacks last year, missed the first half of the season, and you can see him take a step in his second season. How about some other guys on this defensive line as well that you took this year in the draft? How about Al-Quadin Muhammad? How about Trey Hendrickson? I like Hendrickson out of Florida Atlantic. Perhaps they can come in and make an impact. We'll look out for those guys as well. There's some other guys on this roster like David Onyemata, Tyler Davison. None of these guys have been very impressive in the past, so I have a tough time seeing them make a huge impact now, but perhaps they do something. This Saints defensive line and linebacking core, as I aforementioned, they're kind of a disaster. Cameron Jordan is the nice piece, and he has some other guys that could be something, but we have to see it to believe it first. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the New Orleans Saints. And if they can do all 3 of those things, if all 3 of those units can step up in 2017, the Saints can go to the Super Bowl, man. I mean, we just saw the Atlanta Falcons go to the Super Bowl, and the Saints moved the ball more than them. And who do you trust in the playoffs more, Drew Brees or Matt Ryan? I trust Drew Brees. So if you can just get Drew Brees to the playoffs, I like your chances. The Falcons got to the Super Bowl. Why can't the Saints? Because the Saints defense ain't nowhere near the Falcons. The Falcons had Vic Beasley. The Falcons had some veterans on that team, Desmond Trufant, that helped them get there. The Saints, there are some nice pieces, but I have a tough time seeing it fall through. But we'll see what happens, right? The Saints could easily be a playoff team to me, and we'll see what happens. So how do I feel the New Orleans Saints will do this season? Stick around and subscribe, as I will be making my Saints season preview in August and give you my official win-loss prediction. So again, those are the 3 keys for the Saints to go to Super Bowl 52 and win. What are your thoughts on these 3 keys? Comment down below. I want to know. Follow me on Twitter at the MJ Take. Check out the website sportsfanentertainment.com. And until next time, I'm out. See you all later.